it will only become more interdisciplinary and more complex in many ways. Part of the reason of the success of the European Union is that it was always possible, in my view, to explain its success from different viewpoints. There's those who are sort of the Euro-federalists who are happy that whenever a competence is transferred from the national to the European Union level, that is in itself a good thing. There's also those who simply say, well, the EU is helpful because it's a market and I make more money. There's others who say, well, I don't really care about the market as long as it makes my life as a terrorism fighter or as a crime fighter easier. And they're more focused on the European Union as an area of freedom, security, and justice. The ingenuity of the European Union is that it satisfied all these different demands. And all of these different demands, and that comes back to your question, are motivated by a different underlying rationale. If you're a market person, you're going to be focused on the market rationality, the economic rationality of the European Union. If you're interested in creating an area of freedom, security, and justice, you'll be more interested in, okay, does the European Union then not lower the standard of human rights protection? Is a prisoner in the Netherlands as secure in a prison as it is in Poland? I think that the common misconception is that it's abstract and technical, and that is somehow something that is for lawyers only. What I found in my research over the last 3 to 5 years is that, first of all, rule of law is important for each of the different conceptions that I just discussed. You cannot have a proper market without the rule of law, because if you and me invest our money in a company in Hungary and we're not friends with the government, and we have a problem there, and we may get into a fight with one of the friends of the government, we cannot be absolutely sure that the judge who will treat our complaint is absolutely impartial and independent. So that is an immediate economic problem for us. If we look at the European Union as an area of freedom, security, and justice, we will be concerned about the prison conditions, let's say in Poland, or the right to a fair trial in Poland, if judicial independence is being captured there. So these are not abstract notions; they are very real problems for business people in the Netherlands, but also for prisoners who now sit in the Netherlands. So that's one thing that's a common misconception. It's not abstract and it's not technical. The second thing that I find extremely important to highlight here is that it's also not abstract in the sense that protection and fighting for the rule of law is something that happens on its own. You need courageous individuals who actually take the lead there. And I'm very interested in trying to figure out what sort of person would it actually take to fight for the rule of law. And I'm in contact with people both in Hungary and Poland. And I find it extremely inspirational to see their daily work. I work with Adam Bodnar, the former Polish ombudsman, with judges in Poland, like Igor Tuleya. And what motivates me in drawing attention to what they're doing for us is a very simple question that is maybe even a selfish question, but it's a question to myself. Would I dare do that if the rule of law came collapsing in the same way in the Netherlands? Would I have the guts? Would I have the balls to do that? And that is a question that I don't know the answer to, because I don't think that you can underestimate what type of pressure people can come under if you're an independent journalist in Poland or Hungary who writes about things in these countries, if you're an independent and impartial judge who tries to do his or her job. It may be a surprising answer, but I think that both lawyers and international relations scholars think in theories and abstractions, but what they don't see is the role individuals play and can have. It makes an incredible difference to have Adam Bodnar as your ombudsman, or to have Igor Tuleya as your judge, or to have in Poland, or to have Marta Padavi from the Hungarian Helsinki Committee as a leader in your human rights fight. Because if these people were not there and they were replaced by anyone else, you would have a completely different discussion. So We can have an area of almost 500 million people in the European Union, but eventually it comes down to these very powerful and strong individuals who, in their own field, defend this specific branch of the rule of law. And that is overlooked. I find that the role of individuals and the choices that they make and the difficulty that they face in simply taking their role because they believe in that and they believe in their own country. I also believe in Poland and Hungary. I often get the question, should they be kicked out? I mean, I couldn't be sadder as an outcome for Poland and Hungary to be kicked out, because that would also mean that Igor's Poland and Adam's Poland would be kicked out, and that Marta's Hungary would be kicked out. That would be a complete defeat for all of us, because the European Union is a community of different member states. We should look at the question completely differently. How can we help Marta? How can we help Igor? How can we help Adam in making sure that Poland and Hungary are and remain the European states that they are, and that we should keep them as part of the club. But for that, to understand that really, we also have to be much more focused on the role that these individuals play, in my view, in making that happen, and listen very carefully about what they have to say and follow their example and support them in any way we can. I actually find it extremely problematic that we don't involve more and listen more to a much greater variety of scholars, like international relations, law, which is an area that I am more familiar with, is dominated by people who look like me, white males. And that is a very partial view. So we should be very conscious of having a much wider view. There was recently, for example, in one of the main journals in my area, the International Journal for Constitutional Law, an op-ed by 3 extremely powerful female scholars who say that if you look at the average law journal article, there's only 15 to 20% of the people quoted are female, which makes no sense whatsoever. So I think it's up to me and people who look like me to be much more conscious about reading more widely, but also inviting in a much more balanced way, not to participate in any event that has only males, and make sure, not because it's nice for the picture to have a variety, but it's better in terms of the perspective that you expose yourself to. People, whether you're male or female, you also have a different experience in life. Whether you're black or white, minority or majority, you have a different perspective in life. And that also means that you have a different perspective, not only about discussions that happen to be about emancipation or inclusion, but about a much wider experience. If you are living as in a minority in Poland or Hungary, your perspective on, for example, the relevance of the protection of the rule of law will be much more ingrained in your own personal experience.